but it's a documentary of almost 10 years. And in this film I also had to deal with the question of how to construct the gap of time and memory, and I think that I don't have a real formula for it, but I think it's good that the structure is not didactic. So when you see the film, you feel that it is organic. Actually, you don't ask the question. When you decompose it, you understand. You figure out that actually parts of it are dealing with different periods.
Any other questions? We've got two. Just at the back first. It's a question about the current situation in Israel and what happened in November. And you also ask about how you feel about it from where you're living. But where are you based now, Amos? Because you're no longer in France, is that right? Or?
No, I'm back and forth. You know, I've been, as I said, in the 80s I was living in Paris. I came for a few weeks and I stayed 7 or 8 years. And then I went back when Rabin was elected in '92. I was feeling that we can do something. I went back to live in Israel, and most of the work, for instance, the films that you referred to, like Kadosh, Kippur, Kedma, Alila, this group of films were done in this period. I'm not going to give you now all my itinerary, but
the question was about your kind of feelings about the current state of the crisis.
I think, as I said, I think it's stuck. You know, I think it's a conflict which is stuck. I think that the only good news of a lot of bad news is that the two sides are aware that the other exists. This is not nothing. I mean, when I did House, and this is the reason I think that it was censored, when I did it in 1979, 1980, 30 years ago, I said something very simple. I said that Palestinians have relation to the same piece of territory that we have. That's it. Basically, that's what the film said, if you want a statement. And I think that both society, the Palestinians and the Israelis, thought that if they will turn their head away, the others will vanish. But the other didn't vanish. And on the contrary, it produced more wars, and more conflicts, and so on. So the Palestinians at that stage, especially Hassan Shukri, who was the head of the PLO before Arafat, said that the Jews will go to the sea. The Jews did not go to the sea. They lived there. The Palestinians didn't go either, they didn't vanish either. So it means that now, because of successive acts of violence, the two sides are aware that the other exists. This is a good news because you cannot resolve a conflict without admitting that the other exists. Okay, now, and this is shared, by the way, by both sides. You know. There was recently a public opinion poll in the Palestinian side, also, and the same in the Israeli. Roughly 2/3 in each population know that there will be an agreement. But obviously, you need great statesmen to help move forward to this next stage. And we are a bit in deficit of this. Not just us, but I think that the planet doesn't have so many. They have some, but not so many. So I think we are stuck, you know. So there is a kind of a decadence of conflict, you know. So it's kind of stuck. It doesn't move. It doesn't move at this stage. It doesn't move. So I cannot tell you. I cannot. The other day when you asked me if I'm optimistic or not, you know, I think in this situation you have to remain optimistic being a pessimist, being that you are a nihilist, and so what can you propose? I think the fact that you are optimist doesn't mean that it's really going to be resolved, but you have to inject a will, and people need a sense of utopia, a sense of horizon to move forward. But I think it's it's pretty stark.
You were talking earlier about the media, the role of the media, and the idea that each side in the conflict becomes kind of, they see themselves reflected through the kind of distorted lens of CNN, etc. What's the effect of that on the conflict, this intoxication?
I think it only helped to reinforce it, because I think the journalists, I don't want to generalize, but they're becoming more and more lazy. So they don't even go and film their own images. They send, let's say, the Jerusalem bureaus are very big bureaus of the press, the international press. All the big papers of the planet and the television stations are placed. They have many more offices than in Paris. So it means that we provide the planet with a news show. Why? Because the area is very well equipped by internet, which is not the case of Darfur. Darfur, you don't have such good internet link, you don't have easy thing to the press. So what you see is not exactly representative of the proportions of the conflict. But, and also these journalists, they have the Israeli crew, they have the Palestinian crew, they send them basically to bring images. And I've been seeing it again and again, and then these things are being reformulated in the way that people know to perceive it. Let's say, for instance, you have seen Promised Land. So when I shot this scene, when the women are smuggled into Ramallah, I really filmed it in the barrier to Ramallah. So Caroline Champetier was the director of photography, went through the barrier 7 or 8 times. And I did an interview with a very sympathetic journalist from a French paper, Libération, and he asked me how was it. I said it was, surprisingly, it was pretty easy for Caroline to move for 7 or 8 takes across the barrier. He recalled me and he was very sympathetic to the film, but when he went back home he said, I might have misunderstood what Amos said, and he said it was very difficult to cross the border. And that's the way it appeared in the press. Or he, or the redacteur in Paris said, no, it's not. The guy, the journalist didn't understand Amos Gitai, we have to correct it, So, in a certain way it's a representative to the fact that these very fragile currents, which can move across the border, are not even reported by, because we would like to report just about the elements which are the opposite. So
it's always bad news. It's always the negative rather than.
I mean, it's really being fixed with a kind of a fixed perception, because it's really much easier to repeat again and again the thing.
And cinema plays a role in hopefully changing that and showing a different perspective, and documentaries and fiction films. Yeah. There was another question from you.
I like the scene where John Monroe gave the yellow star to children. I was wondering, have you considered taking out that scene before when you're writing?